my name is Slats, and I am recording this video to talk about two things I love a lot. One is congregational song, and two is making music in weird ways. So, I often find myself leading groups of people singing, most often in a congregation, which is wonderful and I love doing it. But most people who find themselves leading congregations in song can do something like play the piano or play the organ or play the guitar, something that kind of roots people in what they're singing. Especially I've noticed in these days when we're meeting on Zoom and a lot of us are singing alone, it really helps to have something that really grounds us. But all of the instruments that I play are not useful for that. All of the instruments I play are, first of all, really kind of solo instruments. They play around one note at a time, as opposed to being able to do chords that's going to make people feel surrounded and supported by the music. And two, often they're really weird, and so when you use them, it's a very specific tone. So I'm learning the banjo, but that is very slow going, and when I was recording accompaniments earlier on in this pandemic on banjo, because that was the only thing I had and could do, I was literally recording myself playing a chord and then playing the next chord and then editing those together in an audio program to make it sound like I could play the banjo when I can't really play the banjo yet. I also play the saw as my primary instrument. Which I have used liturgically. I have used it frequently in services of lament. Again, not the best instrument for a leading congregational song. And I have recently started to play the ocarina, which is very exciting and also not that useful for leading congregational song, especially because I cannot sing while playing the ocarina because it is a wind instrument. I must also note that I am an amateur accordion player. I have a diatonic mini child-size button accordion. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. I am studying for my Doctor of Accordion Ministries with Dr. Michael Hahn. It's a very thrilling program, and I thank you all for your support in that. But until I get more proficient or a bigger accordion, this is where we are. But my background is actually in theatrical sound design, and people tend to hire me when they want to do something weird. So I have done a lot of, I've worked with actors who play instruments. That's probably on the normal side of what I do. I have done a lot of live sound in the space where we use props or the set or the theater itself to create a soundscape. I have run outside because I need to get more sticks and it's about to rain, but I need to replenish the sticks before each performance because I have actors snapping them. I have put a fountain, a mini desk fountain, underneath a riser to create the sound of a babbling brook. I also do some strange sound art, often with my saw hooked up to an effects pedal with a pickup that I made, recording strange sounds that way, or even recording the sound of the electricity from my own body to running through effects pedals to then create kind of weird music from it. So recently, for a project I did about a year ago actually, I invested in a vocal looping pedal. From what I've heard, you can use a looping pedal for a guitar for your voice, but mine is kind of optimized for voice. And I've recently been playing around a lot with that as a way to start to create a larger soundscape that people can enter into and sing into, even when it is just me and my mostly useless for these purposes instruments. So I'm going to do a little demonstration of what that looks like, and I hope you have fun. So here is my setup. We have the loop pedal itself, which is a TC Helicon Voice Live Play, which is sitting on top of actually an electric violin amp by Wood Violins, because of course I have an electric violin, which is sitting on top of a rehearsal block that I saved when my undergrad was about to throw it out. All of that is connected into my SM58. So this particular thing has a lot of effects in it, but I got it primarily for the looping capacity, and so that's what I'm going to go over. So you can play / record, stop, and clear what you're doing, and you also have an undo fashion on this. So I'll make sure this is clear first. I'm going to hit this button here, which is going to be my record button to just record a little bit of a something. So and now it is singing that, even though I am not singing it right now. So that's just going to keep looping back and forth. I press stop to temporarily stop it. If I held that down, it would go to clear, and that would clear it out. But I want to record a little bit over that to get a cool multi-voice effect. So I'm going to hit play, and then I'm going to hit play again, and that's going to go to overdub, which is going to play a track on top of that. So now let's say I don't really like that one because my doo-doos were not particularly lined up with each other. You can go back to play, and then if I hold that down, it'll say undo. It'll undo the last track I laid. So that's the basic functionality of it. There is a way to kind of manually fade out from here, but that is a little tricky, and I'm not going to go into that right now, but I have used that for live performance situations. Yeah, so this is that. Okay, so here's an example of how I've been working with this to create an accompaniment track, even when I just have me and my voice. And for this demonstration, I'm going to work with a simple round. Rounds are really great because if you just sing through the parts in the different positions where they come in during the round, it creates its own accompaniment, so you don't have to worry about harmonies or developing what might be kind of a good accompaniment background. The round really does it for you. So I'm gonna do that love, 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 love song that I learned when I was very, very small, and I kept trying to look it up and see where it comes from, and I just got folk song or camp song. So if anyone has more information about that, please let me know. The first thing I like to do when I'm working with this is actually give myself a bit of a rhythm track, because the machine is very, very precise about when it stops and starts, and it doesn't have its own metronome built in, which means if you are not exact about when you press start and when you press stop on that initial laying of a track, it becomes really tricky because it'll be slightly off on the loop, slightly too short or slightly too long. And so I found myself, especially when I am playing around with something, establishing a little bit of a rhythm really helps me to keep track of where I am. So for that, I'm just going to go do a simple like, you know, you're teaching children about So I'm gonna press play, and then I'm going to start, and we're gonna hope this works the first time so I don't have to record this 1,000,000 times. is when we see if I was actually successful. I use the breaths also to kind of help keep me in rhythm. Yes, it worked. Okay. So the next time it loops around, unfortunately this is kind of a long loop as far as loops goes. The next time it loops around, I'm gonna just do like a doo-doo version of the song. Stopping that right now. So now I'm going to record the second part of the round. So so I'll be coming in essentially when the second part normally comes in. Things is that this keeps recording even after the loop. So when I did that second part of the round, it kept recording into the beginning of what would be the next loop, and that is laid all on one track, which is really, really wonderful. So now I'll do the third. So that's kind of my attempt at ending the round. I undid the third track because it was the last one I did, so I could still undo it. And then stopping it all and singing that last little bit is kind of a way to attempt a fade, even when you can't quite do that. Or if you have a sound person, you can just have them fade it out, which would be super cool. But right now it's just me in my living room, so that's that. So the next stage of this for me right now is actually kind of foregoing the loop pedal, but keeping the idea of that, hooking up my microphone into my computer and creating a similar kind of thing with an audio program that I can then share the sound to something like Zoom. I haven't gotten the chance to do that yet, but that might be really fun and a great way to kind of fill out the space, especially when we are singing alone and we cannot hear each other. And so if I get to do that soon, which I very well may, I will let you know how that goes. But thanks for watching.